Okay, now, just a minute. Now, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Those who have joined just now, we are starting our chapter number 7 right now. So those of you who are here, fine, it will be a revision for them. Those who are not here, it will be a new learning for them. So please, I hope that you all have the books with you. The very first thing is books in your stationery should be with you. The books, the copies, and the stationery that should be with you. Are you ready with your books? Yes, are you all ready with your books?
Yes, miss.
Okay, that's wonderful. Now, let me start my lecture with my, like what I normally do. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrali sadri wa yassir li amri wa luqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi zidni ilma. This is what we normally start our class with. Now, this is the chapter that we have to start. This is our chapter number 2, Communication and Internet Technologies. Although we have covered it, but it's very, very important. So I suggest you that you all pay attention to the minor details. I hope that chapter number 1 is clear to every one of you. None of you is facing problem with chapter number 1. Okay, moving on to the topic. The very first topic that you should be aware of is data transmission. I hope that we know what do we mean by transmission. To transfer, to transmit, to pass on. And for data to be transmitted, what we need is, okay, now children, I hope that you know that you have to rejoin. I mean, this is a norm that you have to be there um, till 10:10, and for that you definitely have to rejoin. You will be rejoining. Okay, data transmission refers to the process of transferring or moving data between two or more digital devices. I hope that we all are familiar with the term digital. Which are digital devices? Can you explain me this term? Yes, beta. Can anyone of you please explain me this term, digital? What do we mean by digital devices? Okay, Aliazam, you are saying sender and receiver, but right now I'm asking digital. Gee, what is digital? Something that is working on? Yes, beta. Yes. What is digital based on? I'm still waiting for the answer. By digital, we mean something that is okay. Ali Abbas saying something, Swale saying something. We normally hear this term digital quite often in our daily life. So, what is digital? Still, I'm not getting the correct answer. Yes, Umama, thank you very much. No, Ali Azam. Umama, you're absolutely correct that it is actually expressed in a series of zeros and ones. So when we say 0 or 1, that is called my digital data. Okay? So digital data means that is composed of zeros and ones. And on the contrary, we have another term. Who can tell me that term? Along with digital, we use one more term. What is it? Okay, that's wonderful. Analog.
Analog.
Okay, that's wonderful. So analog is basically okay, Hamad. Thank you very much for the correct answer. Basically, it is analog. And what do we mean by analog devices? Yes. Being a CS student, you must be aware of these terms because you already have covered these terms. G. What is analog? Can you tell me the examples of a few analog devices? I'm still waiting. Which values are analog in nature? Can you tell me the examples? Okay, manual clock is basically okay. You are telling it that it's an analog device. Perfect. But why is it analog? Which watch, Herman? Which watch? Like I sometimes the watch that I'm wearing, is it analog in nature or is it digital in nature? Maybe that is analog, maybe that is digital. So I should be aware of the right. Analog is using signals or information. Dekho, remember one thing. Anything. Okay. Let me tell you very simple, very simple. Thanks for just being a part of the class. I highly appreciate your answers, which are yes. If I talk about a thermometer, what is it used for? What does it do? G. What is thermometer doing?
It is measuring the body temperature of
Perfect, perfect.
anyone.
Not only body temperature, it's definitely used to monitor any sort of temperature, like even the atmospheric temperature is also being monitored by this. You can remember, it's not only temperature like that; it's any sort of temperature. So we have. And by the way, is temperature a varying value or is it jumping value?
It is a
Yes.
jumping value.
Is it jumping? Does it jump? Like, for example, if I am checking the temperature of an object, or maybe if water is boiling and I have is starting to boil, I've placed thermometer inside this water. So will it show gradual change or will it be jumping? G.
Uh, it will be jumping because due to the changes in the water temperature.
Yes, it will be gradual, and that gradual change is called a digital. It's called analog in nature. But when I say digital, think of your own room switchboard. How many states of the switchboard are there? Like either it is on or off, isn't it? Either your switches are on or your switches are off, isn't it? So 0 or 1, which has two values only, is called digital. I hope that you are aware of these terms. Please remember, this is very, very important. You should be aware of analog, you should be aware of digital. And like, for example, data transmission refers to the process of transferring data between two or more digital devices. That is what is the main idea behind transmission. Data is transmitted from one device to another in analog or digital format. Basically, transmission enables devices or components within devices to actually speak to each other. Yes, they can be a part of Ariba. Whatever your question is, they can be a part of actually digital because again they are handled in a different manner. For example, for us, whatever is decimal is handled differently by a computer. So you need to be aware of these terminologies. And by the way, if I recall, you have studied this topic under the heading of chapter number 5. Can you all recall chapter number 5? You have studied this topic there. You are aware of ADC. Have we studied all these topics? Yes or no? Ye children, have you studied all these topics? Yes, you have studied these topics. So please be aware that you need to be aware of all these terminologies now. Let's move on to the next thing. Data transmission can either be for a short distance, for example, from computer to printer, or over long distances, for example, over a telephone network. Like this is very important. The distances, no matter whether I'm talking, like take this example that I'm talking to my friend who is sitting closer to me. That is also communication. That is also transmission. Or I'm talking to my friend who is sitting in some other city. That is also transmission. So you need to be aware of that data transmission can be for over a short distance or it should be over a longer distance. That this is very important thing. Now this is again what we need to be aware of. Not only Gmail, Umar, it can be in any form. Like when you say Gmail, and I may request you that make a habit of never ever using the brand names. Like Gmail is a brand name, MS Office is a brand name, MS Word is a brand name. So please make a habit that you will never ever use a brand name. Okay? Yes, you can say email, you can say electronic mail, you can even say telephone network. And we normally to speak with respect to the real life scenarios, and real life scenario can be anything. Okay? So what should we be concerned about? We should be talking about the direction, in one direction only or in more directions. Second thing is the method of transmission. How many bits are sent at the same time? By the way, can I get the answer? The combination of four bits. What is the word that we use for that? Four bits combination. What is the word? Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Correct answer coming from Aisha, coming from. That's wonderful. No, no, no. Suha, I guess that you are. Yeah, better you should be recalling. It's called a nibble. So those who have answered nibble, Ali Azam said nibble. Correct. Abdul Muiz immediately replied nibble. Aisha, Hamda, Mustafa Advani, Umama, and then Herman, and then Soleh. That's wonderful, Maham. It means that you remember all these terminologies. And Ahmed, is it Ahmed Usman? Abdullah Khadri, again, the right answer coming from your end, nibble. So I hope that we all know that a combination of four consecutive bits is called a nibble. Okay, ji? This is what we need to be aware of. Okay, the method of synchronization, and that is what, once you are there in my physical session, I'll explain you that synchronization. Right now I'm concentrating on this direction and the method of transmission, and we have done it earlier. Let's have a very quick recap. How many of you can recall this? Yes. When we talked about simplex, it is in one direction only. Like, for example, if I've muted you, if I've just kept the chat off, even if you want to say something to me, still that will be one direction only. I'm just working as a sender and you're working as a receiver only, isn't it? And that will be called simplex. Remember, simplex is one direction only, and it is always from the sender to the receiver, and data being sent from a computer to a printer is the computer definition. And all, or I quoted a number of examples from real life, like loudspeakers example was quoted, if you remember. That loudspeaker is working in simplex mode because its job is just to send. It's always working like a sender, never ever as a receiver. So this is the idea behind simplex. It is one direction only. I hope that this is clear to every one of you. Those who are not there, still there, that is also clear to them. Now, second one is we have duplex, and that duplex is again divided into two parts. One is half duplex, and second one is full duplex. Half duplex transmission is in both directions, but not at the same time. Now, remember the keyword "not" is the most important thing. Both directions, not at the same time. You need to remember. If they are at the same time, then we call it full duplex. Like right now, if I unmute you, if I ask you to unmute yourselves, then you start answering, and definitely when you are answering, Abdul Hadnan, I remain silent, isn't it? Is that the norm? Should I do it like that, Abdul Muiz? Yes, beta, is that the norm? And by the way, Abdul Muiz, Iqbal, and Basil and Ali Azam, you still have to do the same job as you were told during the earlier online sessions. So please remember, TKG beta. So Abdul Hanan, can I thank you, Marcel, for the quick responses. So you remember that what you were given the task earlier, and please, I want the same from your end even now. Okay, now moving further, I just talked about Abdul Hanan. Are you getting it, Vita? Abdul Muiz, have you have missed the topic earlier? It's very important. That is why I'm matlab, recapping it for every one of you. G. I hope that you all can understand. All of you can recall that basically this is my both way, but not at the same time. Both sides, both directions, but not at the same time. Like you can see here, A is sending the data, and B is just a listener. And on the contrary, when I say the other way around, while B is sending, then A is just listening. So that is the idea behind this half duplex. Half duplex is basically two-way, two-way but not simultaneous. When A is a sender, like when I am speaking, you are remaining silent. And just one change that I need you all to make in the spelling of nibble is Nibble. Please remember it's Nibble. It's not single B, it's double BLE. So those who have written the spelling as single B, please correct it with you. Now moving further, we have a telephone conversation between two people where only one person speaks at a time. Like definitely that is the best example. Uh, okay, thank you, Alias Azam. Now moving on to the next one, we have full duplex as well, which is when you talk about the broadband connection, like it's both options and at the same time. Data can be sent from A to B and from B to A along the same line, both at the same time. Example is broadband connection on a telephone line. So whenever we have a broadband means internet connection. So that is an example of full duplex communication or full duplex transmission. Is that clear to every one of you? Any problem that you are facing, please do let me know. Yes, children, any problem that you are facing? Okay. Wonderful, Ahmed Abid. But because beta, you had attended the session, so I'm especially speaking to those children who had not attended the session. So I hope that this is clear. A very quick recap I'm doing. Now moving further, I have the transmission mode explained again, and that is, by the way, again you can see the term mainframe. How many of you remember the term mainframe? Gee, beta, how many of you can recall the term? Yes, I do. What is mainframe then? Can you unmute yourself and then answer? Those who know it, please unmute yourself. Please, it's better if you speak so that every one of you know, every one of us can recall. Yes, children, what is mainframe? Can you, anyone of you please unmute yourself? Shayan, are already unmuted. Can you tell me the answer for what is mainframe? Ji beta, no one is willing to speak. Actually, yes, large computer systems that are used in banks mainly, that we are using it in banks, not at any other place except for banks. Okay, now let's move on further. Okay, now this is a very important thing that we need to be aware of. Method. When we say methods of transmission, your book is also telling you the same. The same. If you have the books open to is page number is 14, is dealing with simplex and half duplex and full duplex, as I explained you earlier. And the next one is serial and parallel. So you can see here, it's basically one bit is sent at a time over a single wire. The most important thing here is you need to be aware of every single word that has to be placed, otherwise, your definition will be incomplete. When data is sent one bit at a time over a single wire, that is very, very important. Or we use the term channel, and they are always moving one after the other in the form just like a line. They never move in different lines, they never move in different channels, they always move in one line or one channel or one wire. You can see the diagram is also telling you the receiver is there, the sender is there, and one bit is at a time is sent over the wires. Now, some important concepts, that if I am sending the data serially, what is going to be happening? It works well over long distances. Most important thing is that we are always going to use serial communication when we are sending the data over a long distance, because it is basically going to reduce my cost of using several wires. Although, just remember that once I have a lot of wires, then definitely installation cost increase. If I have, yes, definitely time consuming is already there. Perfect. You are absolutely correct. That Aswan, do you have something to say? Aswan, do you have something to say? Yes, Aswan. My voice is not clear. Am I audible enough to every one of you?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Okay now. Okay now. Sorry, is my voice clear now? Okay, it was not clear earlier. Okay, you should have told me just at that time. Now, okay. Moving to the topic, we have a topic once again. Serial is, as was shown to you in the earlier diagram, in the earlier figure, it is basically one bit at a time over a single wire. And because of this reason, it is going to be a slower method. But although it is slower, then the best advantage is that I am dead sure that my data will never ever be arriving at the destination without following a simple pattern. That is called synchronization. Like I told you that I'm leaving this topic for the physical class. Once you are there in the physical class, I need to explain this to you, and then I'll discuss it at that time. So an important thing is that you are sure that your data will be reaching the destination securely. The most important thing about it is the data will be reaching the destination securely. Okay, which point, Soha, do you want me to repeat? Okay, I'm repeating. Serial transmission is working all well over the long distances. That is what we are mainly using it for. Data is transmitted at a slower rate, and since only one wire channel, data is definitely, but since I'm using only one channel, then definitely it means the data will be transmitted at a slower rate. And basically I'm dead sure that my data will be reaching the destination securely. It will not be out of sync means that it is not going to be skewed up, it is not going to be one reaching faster, second reaching slower. They all will be reaching at the same time. An example is when you are sending the data from a computer to a modem for transmission over a telephone line. By the way, how many of you? No, it's not a matter of hacking, Omar. It's basically a matter of Hacking is something different, that is for security. So here we are just talking about the, it's basically maybe some data will like okay, now I'll give you an example. If I am asking you people to move to the computer lab in the form of a line, and line means one after the other, okay? So that is going to, that means that okay, I'm at the back and I'm observing that how are you moving. I'm keeping a check on your movement. So basically when you are moving from the beginning, since I'm observing you, you all are moving in a line, just like if you have seen the ants, the way they move. Have you ever seen the ants? How are they moving? How do they move?
in a single line.
Yes, in a single line. Assume exactly in the same manner that just like ants, the bits are also moving exactly in the same manner in a single line. So they are going to reach the destination, okay, and they are going to reach the destination in a single, in one after the other. So it never happens that out of synchronization they never reach. They're always in sync. I hope that this example, which has been created right now, is clicking your mind regarding synchronization. Out of synchronization, it will never happen because they are moving in a line form. But as you people are doing when you were at the break time, so what was happening? That was out of sync. When we had to gather you to be in your lines, that was basically not to me happen that you are not working, you are not having a synchronization thing. I hope that this example is clear. And by the way, my question right now was how many of you are aware of this term modam? A small assignment I want to give you is search what modam is. I want the definition in the next class. Okay, Ahmed has answered. Acha, yes, okay, now what you are telling me is the definition perfect, but basically I want an explanation. By the way, do you know that? Okay, perfect, perfect. Since we are sitting on the PCs, mashallah, you are taking full advantage of the PC and copying and pasting the uh, the definitions from there. Perfect, good, good thing. But otherwise, by the way, does anyone know that MODAM is an acronym? Okay, perfect answer, Anna, that you have framed something on your own. But right now, my question is, are you aware of and what I said is, what is an acronym of? Do you know? Does anyone know that's an acronym of? Okay, just Janet. Okay, this is a small assignment I want to give you. What you're answering, let me share. Okay, Solly, can you tell me what is it? Anna, may you please unmute yourself and tell me that the definition of modam that you have written. Okay, Ahmad, perfect, perfect. Actually, Swale is saying that modulator, demodulator, perfect. But anyone has any idea what is modulation and what is demodulation? Okay, you just checked it now, but otherwise you never knew it. Okay, perfect, perfect. Aisha, very correct that since you are sitting in front of the PCs, you have this advantage of finding it out and then doing it. But otherwise, in reality, you should be aware of these terminologies. Okay, what is modulation? What is demodulation? What is a modem? It's okay, perfect. But this is what you all should be searching, and then we will be talking about it in our physical class. But do remember that we have to discuss this topic in our physical class. Okay. Now this is parallel. As the diagram shows, and the same diagram is even in your book, if you see, the parallel transmission is when several bits of data, usually a byte or maybe multiples of 8, again remember it's always the multiples of 8 that are transmitted, and they are sent down several wires or channels at the same time. One wire or channel is used for transmitting one bit. Now, this is very important that basically in parallel transmission, what is happening? We have several wires which are being used to transmit several bits of data, and every single wire is transmitting one bit. And that is why we have, for example, if there are 8 bits here, these 8 bits will be traveling along 8 different wires. Is this clear? And very important note, please remember, uh, yes, actually, a wire is a communication path, a wire is a line, and this is used to transmit the bits from one place to another. And but important, very important note, please underline it in your books, because a lot of questions are framed in a different manner nowadays. Bits can be transmitted as simplex, half duplex, or full duplex. That is very important. Yes, there is a chance that data may or not be synced, may not be, like, definitely. If I talk about myself, and I'm delivering the lecture, there is a possibility that students understand or students do not understand. So that is, again, similarly, the bits are transmitted as simplex, half duplex, or full duplex. I hope that it's clear to every one of you. Is this topic clear? Most important thing you need to remember, in when you say serial, it means one bit at a time and over a single wire. And when we say parallel, it means several bits of data is transmitted over several wires. Okay, children. Once the after 10 minutes, once we, I'm going to restart the session, and you'll have to rejoin. Remember this. You will not be moving out of कि जी अब मेरा session हो गया. It's not a 40-minute session, it's a 1 hour session. I hope that you all know it, and you all have to rejoin. All 35 of you should be rejoining. Now, moving further, parallel transmission. This transmission works very well over short distances. The over long distances, what happens, the database becomes skewed. This means that they will no longer be synchronized. It is a faster method of transmission. Now, this is very important. It is a faster method of transmission. An example will be sending data to a printer from a computer using a ribbon connector. Please, I want you. Okay, I'm sorry, I've missed out a question from some students. Let me answer their questions first. 8 bits are transmitted in serial. देखो 8 bits are not transmitted in serial. Only 8 bits are 8 bits will be transmitted in serial as well as in parallel. But the only thing is, in serial, the eighth bit will be moving after the seventh bit. The sixth bit will be moving after the fifth bit. So if you remember the diagram I drew in the class, a line I drew, and then I drew bits moving in the same manner, and that was my serial transmission where every bit is moving one after the other. Okay? But on the contrary, if I say parallel, in parallel, all 8 bits, just like if you remember, I gave the example of my the athletes who run on the tracks. So they are running, and since you are an athlete yourself, I guess that you can recall that when athletes run, they are what are they doing? They are following several paths, and they all are traveling. They all are moving all together. So assume that whenever we are working with parallel transmission, number of bits, which is basically 8 or multiples of 8, are always traveling together. Is this making sense? Is this clear to every one of you? Yes, yes. Actually, when you say internal communication, a very good thing that is even mentioned in your book. I will suggest you people to underline this in your book as well, because if question is framed from here, at least you know that these are the topics that you need to concentrate on. But what I want to suggest you is, please remember, it's basically not the ribbon connector. Ribbon connector, as is shown here, maybe some of you have seen this ribbon connector. This is only meant to create a connection. It has nothing to do with data transmit, with actually this thing. You need to write down sending data to a printer from a computer using a ribbon connector. So using a ribbon connector alone, writing is not going to give you any mark at all. It has to be, yes, so Umar, whatever you are saying is absolutely correct. Wherever it's the communication inside or very closer to components, like for example, printers. Normally printers are very close to the computer system, isn't it? Okay, it reminds me of a question. I just want to raise another question, and that question is, for example, if I say that my printer is stationed at a distant location, it is not closer to my PC. So which one will you suggest me then? Ji beta.
Serial data transmission.
Serial transmission. Okay. Why are you saying this? Is correct.
Means it will easily get to its location over a long distance.
Very
It
nice.
there would be no chance of synchronization.
Out of synchronization. There will be no problem of out of synchronization. Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Wonderful to see the prompt responses coming from you. It means that only a few students are active and others are sleeping. By the way, may I just know who is active? Just raise your hands, those who are active.
Miss
Active
Umar Asim.
students. Yes, yes. What I know, and that it's you, but I need to know how many of you are active and how many of you are zero. Yes, the ones who are not raising their hands, it means that they are inactive. Abdul Hanan. Still, I can see a number of students who are just here and they are not here. Hamda, Isam, Rahim, Ikrash, Omama. Or you're raising your hand now when I called your name. It means earlier you were not attentive. Isam, Ikrash, Omama. Ji beta, are you all active? Okay, actually, what I said about ribbon connector is basically a mean through which data is transmitted. Actually, computers and printers. I hope that everyone is here. Computers and printers, they are connected. Definitely, they need to transmit the data. So, if you have this sort of thing, it is even present in my connection with my hard drive as well. So this is my ribbon connector. The diagram that you can see in here, the diagram that you can see in your book, this is the diagram of a ribbon connector. Okay. Okay, Sam, thank you, Vita. Now please lower your hands, every one of you. Now, is this clear to every one of you? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, I've revised. I hope that this is a question that can, if raised, you should be able to answer. That basically this is a power transmission. Okay, if for example, if the distance is longer, no matter whether it's even if the printer, then you always go for the this transmission. Which is this one? This is basically my serial transmission. Like I raised the question of my printer being placed at a distant location. I will never say that it's going to be parallel. It's always going to be serial because of the distance. Long distance parallel, long distance is going to be serial, and small distance is going to be parallel. I hope that you have noted down this small thing. Long distance, it's always serial for security, and less cost involved. For shorter distances, it's always parallel because of the you can say that I definitely need more data to be transmitted, and I want the work to be done faster. Now, again, this is a very important thing used in internal electronics of the computer system. As I kept on telling you, the pathways between the CPU and the memory all use this method of transmission. Again, remember, CPU and memory are two separate things. They are not same. Maybe some of you are. Uh, am I audible now? Am I clear to every one of you? That am I clearly audible? Okay, Basil, is it now okay? Okay. Now moving further, I said that basically between the CPU and the memory, these are two separate things. Even we humans have CPU, even we humans have memory. And which topic have you studied in class 9th? It's memory. You haven't studied CPU. This is something that we will cover in class 11th. Okay. ICs, if you are aware of ICs, buses, and other internal components, all use parallel data transmission because of the need for high speed data transfers. Again, very important thing. Internal communication needs high speed transmission. Otherwise, my computers will be working very slow, and that is not what I need. And that is why we always have parallel transmission whenever we are working with internal components. The use of 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, and 64-bit buses. Now they have mentioned there. You can see again, it's always the multiples of 8 that is needed, and they are using the if allow much faster transmission rate that could be achieved with then could be achieved with single wire transmission. I hope that this topic is now clear to every one of you. Now moving to the example, once again, one more example is quoted for your reference. Okay, now children, once we are going to join back, before like while I am connecting, a small assignment I want to give you, and that is you need to very quickly open your books to page number 17, where error checking methods is given, and you can see which error methods you are already aware of. I want a very quick revision from your end, and once we rejoin, I'm going to ask you questions regarding this. I hope that you remember. By the way, how many of you remember parity? Because this is something that you have done earlier. Like if I just see you have done parity checking and yes, parity checking. Are you aware of this topic? Check some you have not done, and you need to. Okay, now I hope that you will be able to recall quickly whatever. By the way, children, I think that you have done parity in detail in your class 9th. How many of you can recall? And if I'm not mistaken, you have done exercise activity 2.2 and 2.3 in your book as well as example 2, page number 19, and activity 2.4, page number 21. This is what you have already covered. I hope that you can recall. Yes, you have done parity. Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yes. Okay. Yes, then that is a problem, Ariba, that whatever you are saying, that is a problem, that is the data will not be reaching the destination, and that will be the problem of synchronization. No, I'm not saying check digit right now, Soha. Check digit is something that is under the heading of validation, that is not under the heading of error checking. Remember when I say error checking, I mean when I am sending the data, what is the problem that I'm facing? That is the problem that will be handled under error checking methods. Okay, children?